Thanks for checking out this movie review video. This is for the 2025 release Fear Street Prom Queen, and this is a part of the Fear Street world that's been available on Netflix. There was an original trilogy of films that came out, I think all at the same time a few years ago, and I did not do reviews on them, but I will tell you I did enjoy them. I think the first two are the ones I like the most, but definitely worth watching the original trilogy. Watch through this no spoiler review and I'll tell you whether it was worth it to see Fear Street Prom Queen. So let's get into it. This one was directed by Matt Palmer, who also did the film Caliber, which I have not seen. Written by Palmer, as well as Donald McLeary, who did Lady Christina, West Scare Light, Overnight Express, and Sweet Charity, just to name a few films. Not familiar with any of those. And this is based on some books, some Fear Street books by R.L. Stine. So they have the R.L. Stine feel, much like the original trilogy of Fear Street films did, and much like Goosebumps did. You know, the show Goosebumps that was on Nickelodeon. This is available on Netflix exclusively, and that was the same situation for the original trilogy. So, quick synopsis on this one. I won't tell you how, for people who haven't seen the original trilogy or want to go into it not knowing how it connects, but they do connect this film to that original trilogy in a very small way, in my opinion, and I'll kind of talk a little bit more about that at the end, not giving it away, but some thoughts I have on that. But it basically takes place in a high school in this town, and it feels very generic. You get a lot of similar characters that you're used to seeing for shows and movies just like this, especially horror. A lot of the same stock type characters. You know, you have the weirdo, the outcast, the nerd, the jock. You know, you have all these stereotypes, and unfortunately, characters don't feel great. But it's just basically about prom night. You know, it's a very simplistic story. There really isn't a whole lot of story to it. It's just kind of like, this is a high school. Here are all the personalities of kids you're going to need to know about. And then the only other thing you need to know is, here comes prom night, and all these women are vying for the title of prom queen. And then there's a slasher, and that's it. That's all you need to know. That's all the story is. And then you're just watching it and waiting for, where's the big reveal? Who is the killer? What is their motive? So it kind of all hinges on that. And what are the kills going to be like? How is the gore going to be? How are the characters going to develop? Are they that interesting? All of that type of stuff, which obviously I'll talk about. But not a whole lot of synopsis, because there isn't a whole lot of story to it. And as you can tell by the way I'm saying it, kind of bothersome in that sense. The 80s synth music in the beginning is phenomenal. I love the score to this film. This score is great. It takes place in the 80s. It feels like it takes place in the 80s. There's also some known music that they end up throwing into it, which is also really good. So, musical choices for this film, including the score, wonderful. Great. Love it. The intro voiceover, they do that intro voiceover, I actually think does a good job at establishing the main character while saving time. And this is a good time to say also that this film is slightly under an hour and a half. I think it's an hour and 28 minutes with credits, something like that. But a lot of people don't like voiceovers. I do, especially when they're in the beginning of the film, trying to give you some real quick backstory on the main character you're supposed to be following, because it does save time. We don't need to see entire flashbacks or entire scenes of, this is happening when they're young, and then now jump ahead and here's where we are. It's just so much easier to hear in the main character's voice, this is who I am, this is, you know, my dynamic at this school, you know, all those types of things. So I like it. I think it was effective. It moves things along quickly, and for the most part, the pacing is fine-ish with this movie. It does get a little slow at times and does feel a little bit repetitive, which people could probably assume that based off the fact that I was saying there isn't a ton of story to it. But yeah. So the intro voiceover did that. It feels like a lot of other high school horror movies. Again, I already said that. It is very formulaic. in a lot of ways. It is a very typical like high school, just like school-based slasher, and it doesn't deviate really at all, except for what it does at the end. You know, its reveal, its motives, all that type of stuff, the names of the characters. That's about it. It feels lazy script-wise, story-wise, and I would be interested to know that if this is based on one specific book from R.L. Stine, what is that book like? You know, I would be kind of interested to read it, because I'm going to bet it's a lot better story-wise than this actually is. But I also would potentially think that this might not actually even be based off one of the actual movies, and just based off of, oh, we had this original trilogy that were based off books, and then we're just going to put this, you know, connect this somehow, and then just say, you know, it's based off the books too. You know, it is shot relatively well. I thought it was fine. The direction's fine for it. Cinematography is good. Like it looks fine. You know, the cast does a decent job as well. There are a few characters here and there played by people who are a little bit probably lower energy than they really should be, but for the most part, passable, decent enough. And there are some people who do quite a good job, in my opinion. There are some decent gore moments. That is probably the highlight of this film for me personally, in addition to the music that was used and the score, is that there are, I wouldn't say like great kills. None of the kills really feel super inventive or anything. You're not going to see anything new. These are all kills you've seen before, but the gore, the practical effects, nice, quite nice. And I like the fact that they did go practical effects. Sure, there are a few moments of CGI, but they're relatively quick, and they don't stand out as looking bad or anything like that. So practical effects and the amount of gore, nice. Really like that about the film. Like I said, my favorite part of the film. So there is that bit of enjoyment for some people, and I kind of feel like it might be worth watching it if you're a gore hound, just to see what they do. The killer's mask and outfit, terrible. It's terribly bland. And here's the thing, like, the outfit doesn't need to look like anything special, but the mask itself does. You really need to create something interesting, something not even necessarily iconic, but just something that looks interesting. It is so plain, it is so bland, and then the outfit on top of that, like, make one of these components stand out, and they don't, not at all. So, you know, when you're seeing someone running around, you know, killing people, you, in these movies, you want to see something that looks cool, something that looks interesting, instead of just like, you know, prime example, like, I Know What You Did Last Summer, just the dude in like the rain slick, and that's like it, you know, like, that's not that cool. Although at the time it was a little bit cooler because it hadn't been done before, but you get what I'm saying. So killer's outfit and mask, terrible. As things progress, the characters end up not feeling all that likable. This is one of the problems. First of all, characters do really stupid things. You know, it goes back to the very old slasher trope of all these people are idiots. None of them will ever know how to not be frozen with fear and just stand there and wait to be killed. So that's a problem with this film. It goes back to stupid slasher logic. And the characters just aren't that interesting. They aren't that likable. Some of them, you know, they set them up to be like kind of people you're rooting for, but then they end up having personality traits come in later where you're just like, oh, well, the waters have been muddied a little bit. I don't really care about them. I just didn't care about any characters, and I was really just there for the gore at a certain point, because I was like, okay, we don't have much story. These characters aren't great. The gore's nice, though, so let's just see everyone get it, you know? The reveal of the motive and who the killer is not good. It's not good at all. It feels very flat, just like a huge letdown. And you're just like, the whole film hinges on this. And then they reveal it, and you're just like, oh, I guess? Okay. And then there's a little extra after that for the film, and you're just like, meh. It's not great. The ending is very, very disappointing, unfortunately. The ending is very meh and leaves you wondering, how is this a Fear Street movie? So yeah, the connection that they have to the original Fear Street movies is so small, and it's just given in the beginning pretty much, that it feels like this was a script that was not created initially as a Fear Street movie, and someone read it and was just like, we can tie this into the Fear Street trilogy and try to get more viewers that way, because it did well. Like the original Fear Street movies did well on Netflix because they are pretty good. And so they were just kind of like, let's just slap Fear Street on there, put a little bit of a connection into the script, and then just pretend like it was supposed to be that all along. Not much of any connection. So this is a underbaked, not exciting slasher, in my opinion. That said, I didn't hate it. Like I said, the gore was decent, the acting was decent, the music was good. You know. So out of 5 stars, half stars, and play, I'm going to give it a 2-star rating. I thought about going 1.5 stars, so I was between 1.5 and 2, but I think I had enough enjoyment out of it to go ahead and put it at the 2-star rating. So yeah, those are just my feelings, but I would love to hear other people's feelings. You can put it down in the comments. We can talk spoilers in the comments. That's totally cool. Do me a quick favor though. Thumbs up on this video to help me with that YouTube algorithm. Subscribe to the channel to show me that you like anything I've ever done, including this video. That would be great. You can hit the notification bell button if you want to know when I'm putting up new videos, and it does help to watch the videos the same day they come out, because it helps the video gain traction in the algorithm on YouTube. And also, if you are so inclined, if you want to pitch me a few dollars, I have memberships to this channel. It's not just donating money to me each month, which is a small amount, but you get things. You get actual perks with the channel for that. And there are 3 different tiers, including the top tier being videos that no one else will end up getting. So it's not a ton of them, but it's at least 1 a week, I think. Sometimes a little bit more than that. So good times. But anyway, regardless, thank you for taking your time to watch this. And until next time, keep it brutal.